Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Spiritual Spotlight series. Today, I am joined by Tania Ho, originally from Hong Kong. She is the founder and owner of Muse Retreat and Spa. It's an all-inclusive vegetarian wellness retreat center based in Chiang Rai, northern Thailand, offering yoga, meditation, and spa retreats. Tanya also serves as a meditation teacher to teach people how to meditate in a fun, easy, and practical way and how to trust their intuition. She has studied a number of holistic therapies, including devotional chanting, cacao ceremony, labyrinth walk, shamanic journeying, flower essences, energy healing, and I'm sure a whole lot more. Thank you so much for coming to the Spiritual Spotlight series. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me here, Rachel. Thank you.
I'm so excited. Um, can you maybe share with us the journey that led you from Hong Kong to founding the Muse Flower Retreat and Spa and what inspired the significant life change?
Right. Okay. So I'll try to keep it really short because it could be like a whole 1 hour just talking about that. But yeah, actually, after graduating from university, I was working in Thailand already. And then when I was 25, my dad passed away. So my dad had depression. So that was like, you can say that significant event in my life that
Wow.
really just changed everything because that's when I point like, okay, I quit my job. I don't want to do things that I didn't want to do because life is too short, but I don't know what I want to do. And so that's the first time I attended a retreat, and I was in Thailand then. So it's the first time I actually came to Chiang Rai in northern Thailand for a retreat. It was really transformational, like the retreat experience for myself. And so later on, I had this opportunity to build a retreat center here, come back to Chiang Rai to build a retreat center here. It was with an ex-business partner. And, we did the whole thing. And after we opened the retreat center, which is about 10 years ago, we had different opinions running things. So we split the business and it became my own. So that's how kind of like that all kind of started. And that's how I came here. And I met my husband here. No expectation, I did. I met my husband here also. So, and now, we have our family here as well in Thailand.
I love that. I love that. And if I encourage everyone to look up her retreat and spa, it is gorgeous, beautiful.
Oh,
Like if
thank
I ever
you.
go to Thailand, 100% will be going. It is amazing. It just the pictures I'm sure don't even describe the justice of the beauty that you have there. It's beautiful. So let me
Oh,
ask you
thank
this.
you. Thank
So
you.
Muse
Yeah.
Flower Retreat and Spa is renowned for its all-inclusive vegetarian wellness retreats. How does the
Mhm.
vegetarian aspect of a retreat contribute to the overall wellness and spiritual awakening of your guests?
Well, for me, because when I attended my first ever retreat that I said, it was a
Yeah.
vegetarian retreat, and I'm not a vegetarian.
Oh,
And
interesting.
it was such an eye-opening experience
Yeah.
because I always thought vegetarian food was boring or, you'd like get full from it. And so it was really something that, for me, retreat experience is always about breaking through some kind of habit, or you dropping something that's not what you're doing on a daily basis.
Right.
So when I had a chance to open this retreat center, even though I'm not a vegetarian myself, for me, it's such an integral part of the retreat experience because that's what I had before. It was such
Right.
something that was so eye-opening, so educational and inspiring at the
Hmm.
same time. And a lot of our guests who came here, they're not, vegetarians, and a lot of them just tell me, they didn't miss meat, didn't know that vegetarian food can be so yummy, and they're so full all the time. They're not
Yeah.
like hungry all the time. And of course, partly, of course, when you go into the retreat experience, when you're on vegetarian diet, you just kind of you feel a little bit lighter on your
Mm.
digestive system, especially when we had dinner. It's kind of like a lighter experience. So
Yeah.
it all, of course, contributes to that whole retreat experience. There's this kind of really gentle detoxing. So we're not a detox center, we're not a
Right.
fasting center, but there's like kind of this gentle, very gentle detoxing experience like happening.
Well, I think it's really important that, you kind of said that, it gets you out of the normal routine of your diet
Yes.
and going through a retreat is a very transformational experience. So I like that it's a gentle digestive period and vegetarian food can be very yummy. And I think a lot of people, it seems to be leaning more towards a vegetarian lifestyle or a vegan lifestyle. So I find that it's
Mm,
fascinating that you offer that. So you're also a meditation teacher, which is amazing. You emphasize teaching meditation in a fun, easy, and practical way. Can you maybe
Mm.
share some tips for beginners on how to start the meditation practice and how to stay consistent with it? That's something I also struggle with, is how to stay consistent with doing meditation.
Mm. Yeah, of course. So, to me, first of all, it's important to understand there's so many different styles of meditation. And
Yeah.
so for each person, I don't know, Rachel, what type of meditation
I
have you
usually
tried or which
do
one do you like to do?
what do I like to do? I like to do guided meditations. What I'm most consistent with is like they're like energetic meditations where you don't necessarily have to tune in and listen to what the practitioner is saying, but it will go to my energetic fields and my higher self
Mm.
will receive the healing in which I need. That I'm most consistent with. I do that 3 times a week. And then every 3 weeks she does what's called a tall cups, and it's like an hour long
Hmm.
session. And then she brings in all these different layers of, healing, which that I resonate with most. But what I would love to do is the idea of a walking meditation. But then I'm like,
Mm.
I'm always like, am I doing this correct? Am I supposed to be just
Mm.
listening? Like, I think I'm always like, I'll even text my friends. Well, I think I'm meditating, and I'm granted I've been doing this a long time. I mean, years and years
Right.
and years. So I'm not new to it, but I'm still like, am I doing this right? I don't know. So I appreciate any advice you have.
Yeah, well, there are so many different styles of meditation, and it's great that you know what style. This seems like, it sounds like you're following somebody,
Right.
and it's just really, you really resonate with what
Yes.
she's offering. So that is perfect. And so, what I always like to tell people is there's just so many different styles. It
Yeah.
really depends on what learning styles you are, what kind of dominant sense that you have. So, like visual learners, they might gravitate towards more like the guided visualization type meditation. But a lot of people actually are not, even for myself, I always thought when I was young, I was a visual learner, but actually I'm more like a touch, like a learning through experience kind of person.
Yes.
But that's okay too. Like I will say, try different styles of meditation.
Hmm.
We see pictures of people like holding a mudra and they're like sitting and just breathing, looking really calm. For some people, there is very easy for them to drop in like that, but for a lot of people, it's not.
Right.
So
Right.
it's also
Right.
important to like remember, okay, don't be fooled by the pictures. Just find a style that really matches you. So when you talk about walking meditation,
Hmm.
it can be a type of meditation. And here we're talking about different styles of informal meditation. I think
Right.
sometimes when we think of meditation again, we look at pictures where like people are just sitting down. But actually, no, there are dynamic kind of movement
Right.
meditation. Walking meditation is a great one for, especially for people who feel like they can't sit still. They don't feel, they just feel really restless. Um, Labyrinth walk, because we have a labyrinth here. So labyrinth walks are
Yes.
actually really great walking meditation tools. And even if you don't have a physical labyrinth near you, or maybe because the weather is like too cold or if it's snowing, you can't go to a labyrinth. There's something called finger labyrinth. So it's just
Ooh.
like, this labyrinth pattern printed on a piece of paper and you can trace it with your finger. And the point of when you're doing a walking meditation is to just really engage all your senses. So it's a little bit different than when you're sitting down, closing your eyes. You're kind of like this engaging from the outer world. So you're focusing on your inner world.
Right.
But when we're doing the walking meditation, we're kind of doing the opposite, but in a way, we're always kind of taking just a different path, but towards the same goal kind of thing.
Hmm.
So you're being completely mindful, completely present where you are, completely engaging all of your senses. And through that, then you're kind of going into that meditative state as well. Like we're not thinking so much, or just noticing what's going on.
Right. And I love the
Yeah.
fact that you bring up that it depends on maybe what sense that you kind of resonate with. Like I myself am
Yes.
also not very visual and I'm more
Mm.
feeling. So I
Yes.
appreciate you bringing up that you don't necessarily have to fit in the box of how somebody is sitting on a cushion and their hands and they're deeply in trance. And I like that it's like
Yes.
there's all different ways to meditate and maybe find what
Yeah.
resonates with you.
Yeah. And what works for you? It can be lying down. A lot of people, they said, I think one of the most common issues people find is like, I don't have time to do
Yeah.
meditation. So, not everybody can wake up earlier because usually people say, wake up earlier before everyone else. It's also very hard for me. So, finding the right time for yourself, maybe it is just before you fall asleep at night that you do a very short meditation. maybe sleeping type of meditation, that's totally fine too. Like, so it doesn't have to be a certain way, like have to
Right.
look a certain way. Yeah.
I love that. I also love sleeping meditations too. I love go listening to a meditation as I'm going to sleep. Like that's
Yes.
it almost helps me to sleep better. Like I feel that
Yeah.
it's like, okay, let's go. Yay. I love that answer. So your holistic approach to wellness includes devotional chanting. You just mentioned labyrinth walk, shamanic
Hmm.
journeying, flower
Hmm.
essence, and energy healing. How do these practices enhance the spiritual journey of your retreat participants?
Mm. So you can see that's kind of like just a variety of different offerings because when
Yeah.
people come here, again, like because we're talking about there's so many different styles of
Hmm.
meditation or mindfulness activities. So, being coming a retreat, besides, of course, we have yoga, we have meditation, like the pranayama type of meditation. We also all these different offerings because we also, people come here, they might not be interested in the yoga, but they might be interested in the spa.
Right, right.
And what happens is, when you're in the retreat setting, usually, or when we're traveling, we're more open to try new experiences. A lot of people like to come here and okay, I'll just give it a try. Like maybe what's cacao ceremony? Let me give it a try. What's shamanic journey? We'll give it a try. And so the point of having all these different, of course, these are the offerings that really I resonate with myself. Like I practice them myself. And so I
Hmm.
want to share with my guests as well. And so just, yeah, kind of different ways to experience, like spiritual practices and
Hmm.
just see maybe which one resonates. Maybe some people, they resonate with some practice more than others. So I think the most important is just being open, kind of going back to like the vegetarian food question,
Right,
just
right.
being really open, trying different things, see which one feels good to you.
I love that. So one of the things is that practicing mudras alongside mantra meditation. Can you explain how mudras can enhance meditation practice and perhaps share a personal experience where a specific mudra profoundly impacted maybe your life?
Right. So, I think I don't even remember how I started with mudra, but then, because like I said, in the pictures we see people hold mudras. Like there must be
Yeah.
something. And to me, I sort of look at the different styles of meditation through different senses. So the mudra to me is connecting with your sense of touch. If you're somebody who, like me, like to talk with my hands, or somebody who's like really more kind of touchy feely, um, that's when you hold in mudra, kind of gives one more focus point for yourself, something
Mhm.
to focus on. So the mudra that I really like, so this is of course the one that we see in the pictures all the time. It's just the thumb touching the index
Mhm.
finger, which is really good. It's some people call it Chin Mudra, some people call it Dhyana Mudra. The one I really like is called Prithvi Mudra, which is the Earth Element Mudra. So it's actually your ring finger touching your thumb, and then forming a circle, and then you're stretching out the other fingers. Yeah, and then so that's really helping you to balance your earth element in your body, and which is a grounding and centering. And what I find is by holding mudra, even as little as like 5 minutes or sometimes even less, depends how sensitive you are with energy actually, you can start to actually really feel because mudras are like energetic seals. You
Mm.
form kind of when you close your fingers or put your fingers in a certain position, they form kind of like different kind of energy circuits in your body.
Wow.
So I find that really cool because even if you're traveling, if you're on a
You
plane,
can be
like you don't know what to do, you can yeah, you can even just hold a mudra.
I just want to expand on this a little bit more on this particular mudra. So, in today's fast paced world, many feel disconnected from the sense of grounding because this is a grounding type of.
Yes,
Can you
yeah.
elaborate on how this mudra will help in reconnecting, like kind of like you said, with the earth element and maybe providing someone with stability?
Mm. Yeah. So, well, I mean, so it kind of goes with like the yoga philosophy. There we have
Sure.
like 5 elements in the body, right? So when you close the finger, you put a finger in a certain way, you're forming this closed circuit of
Mm.
energy, and this particular mudra is connecting with your earth element inside. So earth element, think about it is grounding. So when you hold it, you can, just, I would say, of course, when you hold it, if you're holding it and if you're watching TV, if your mind is somewhere else, you probably may not feel it so much. That's not
Oh,
going to work. But it's best, if you're holding it, it can be closed. Of course, if your eyes can be closed, I really like those pictures. Then you can turn inward, then you pay attention, then you can really feel it
yeah.
more. Um, I think it's okay to do it open eyes too, for myself, personally, my personal opinion. But like I said, if it's open eyes, it's all still you're still turning the focus inward. So you're not like
Yeah.
I'm watching TV or watching my phone and I'm holding it.
That's a good
I
point
don't
because
know.
I
It
could
might
be like
work,
not
but you
paying
may not feel
attention.
it.
Yeah, because like you're saying, like just because you're holding it, you need to go inward also to really experience the full
To
benefits
feel,
of it.
yes, yes,
Oh,
to really
that's
feel it. Because you can hold it and if you're not paying attention, they'll be like, oh, it doesn't work, right? Because the mind doesn't, you don't experience it. The mind is not really focusing on it. It's like, ah, it doesn't work. So this thing doesn't work, right?
like,
So,
okay,
so just really
Rachel.
have to pay attention.
I love
So
that.
just have to pay attention to it's like, okay, let me feel how this works.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I would imagine like when you're doing your guided, when you're doing leading the meditations, you probably would have people holding the mudras to really amplify the meditations that you're leading someone through.
Yes, usually I combine with mantra. So the
Okay.
practice of japa, which is repeating 108 times with the mantra. And so we repeat the mantra, chant the mantra first for 108 times. And after that, we sit in silence for not too long, when we're starting out, just maybe for a few minutes. And that's where you will hold the mudra.
Okay.
And the chanting of the mantra, one way it's kind of help to make your mind feel bored. So in a way that, of course, there's many more benefits of mantra because the vibration of the mantra itself, it has its
Right.
own benefits, just like the mudra. And so when you chant the mudra, it's help you to kind of drop in better. That's how I find it's faster to drop into kind of like that inner space, into your inner world.
Is there a mantra that you particularly resonate with, and can you share it with us?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many
Ex-
mantras, but the one that I really love, and I do always, share with this one,
Mhm.
it's Ganesha's mantra. So Ganesha, he is the Hindu deity that has like the elephant head. I don't know, have you seen his image before? And so his mantra is Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. So the meaning, if you say the meaning, is really just I bow to or salute to Lord Ganesha, who is the Lord of removing obstacles.
Oh, wow.
And if we kind of see Ganesha as a divine name, or what his name really represents is these qualities that we already have within us. So the qualities, he is the Lord of wisdom. He is the Lord of removing obstacles. He's very grounded, right? He's very centered, too. So he had all these different qualities. So when we chant his name, we're putting a spotlight on these qualities that are already within us. It's not something that's outside of us. So that's
Yeah.
how I understand it. And then, so you're chanting as you chant the mantra because you're creating that vibration also. You're harmonizing your own energy with that energy of the mantra itself, the
Mhm.
frequency of the mantra.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that. And I love that. I know that I've heard that mantra, but I don't think I've heard it pronounced correctly. So thank you for saying that because I'm like, oh, now it makes sense. Like, because you read
Yes.
it and you're like,
Right.
Rachel,
Yeah, I can also, I'll type it in for you, like the name
I
of the
love
mantra
that.
later if you like. Yeah.
So you offer again a lot of holistic therapies at Muse Flower. For someone that's new to these practices, how do you recommend they start exploring to find what resonates with them best?
I would say actually it was starting from your intention because
Okay.
all the guests come here, we always ask them, well, what is your intention of coming here to the retreat? And from then, kind of like then kind of recommend, what might be suitable for them. So some
Mhm.
people, they might be completely burnt out and they come here, they can't, like, they just want to like relax, they just want to be here. Some people have gone through some trauma in their life and
Mm.
they just want to come here as their rest. Some people, they're just traveling in Thailand and this is just their rest stop, so everybody's different with their intention, so it really depends on their intention. Yeah.
I love that. And I like that. So as somebody who lives in the United States, burnout is very prevalent.
Mm.
For somebody that may be feeling burnt out, what does that look like for a retreat for them? Like definitely relaxation, but is there any type of, shamanic journeying or energy healing that you would incorporate into somebody who may be feeling a
Mm.
little burnt out?
Yeah, I mean, there's also kind of looking at the reason why they feel burnt out too, because there's just so many. It really depends on the person
Mm,
energetically, how they're feeling. Also on the physical front too. Like, so
right.
do they have the actual energy to want to wake up in the morning to do yoga, or maybe they just want to kind of sleep in. They just want to come to relax for
Yeah.
the spa. And what I find is usually for the first at least 3 days, it really takes a person to really wind down
Mm,
and to start to really adjust to the rhythm and the living, like the pace here. So we don't have a very busy schedule,
nice.
but it does feel like time goes really fast. So you do morning and a yoga, you go breakfast, and maybe you go for like a spa or like a workshop in the morning, and that's lunch. And
Mm,
then you take a little nap maybe, and then in the afternoon there's a yoga class. And then maybe you do a spa, and then it's like, oh, it's dinner time. And then you'd be like, after dinner, it gets there's nothing much to do around here, I would say, at night. So maybe usually people sleep earlier too because the lights we have a lights out, around 11 as well.
oh, wow.
So and then they start again, and it's just you're also in nature because we're like kind of in the countryside, so there's nothing really exciting going on around us at night. Not so many stimulations.
Right.
So yeah, so it really kind of forgot the question now. I was going to say like,
I love
sorry,
it.
I forgot the question. Wait,
You're
what?
so calm that you're just like you're relaxed into someone not
Sorry.
feeling burnt out. I love the winding
Oh yeah,
down and
sorry,
just
the
the
burnout. Yeah,
relaxation.
yeah. So whether somebody's burnout or not, sorry. I was like, wait, what was I talking about? So like the
I love it.
first, yeah, 3 days, it just kind of get them to really, yeah, just adjust to the rhythm of the place. And then that's where people maybe they start to feel like maybe they have a little bit more energy. They
Mm,
want to try something else. If somebody who's like really, really tired, they just need to take the first few days to relax. Yeah.
that sounds wonderful. So before I ask you the last question, if anyone is
Hmm.
interested in learning more about Muse Flower Retreat and Spa or any of the services that you offer, what is the best place for them to go to?
So definitely come to our website, museflowerretreat.com, and we have all our retreat programs listed there. If you sign up for a newsletter, you also get a free 500 baht credit voucher that you can use towards your room booking, or you can use it towards your spa booking when you're here, or use it to exchange for a free group class while you're here. If you don't mind me to add a little bit, also, we're actually, my friend and I, Yumin and I were doing a special retreat. So the
Ooh,
yoga retreat and the spa kind of like package that we're doing, it's available all year round. So you don't have to
nice,
come for a specific starting date. But
nice.
this retreat, it is a specific date, and we call Sacred Rest with Nature. So we talk a little bit about
Ooh,
burnout. So my friend Yumin, she's from Singapore. She is a rest coach, and she also is a forest therapy trainer and forest therapy guide. So we'll be combining our modalities together into the 6 day, 5 night retreat. It's from
nice.
November 29 to December 4th. So the information is also on our website as well. So people can get to experience yoga nidra. You might know
Yeah.
it's like a sleeping meditation, which is also very, very yummy. And she does forest bathing as well and other things too. And then I'll be doing the cacao ceremony, the
Yeah.
shamanic journey, the chanting as well. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I love that. So finally, with your extensive experience in holistic wellness and spiritual practices, what advice do you have for individuals seeking to embark on their spiritual journey, but are unsure where to begin or feel overwhelmed by all of the available options?
That is a really good question because there's a lot, which is good and not good. Like there's really good. I guess
It's
first
so
of all is
true.
to listen to your podcast and to
Oh,
get to
you're so
know different
nice.
people out there, and so get to know different people out there. I always tell you, of course, it's really following your intuition. But I know for somebody who's overwhelmed, like I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't want to know what intuition is. Then I'll just say,
Yeah.
just kind of really go with your feeling. Um, Go with feeling. If there's something, of course, it's great. You can come to Beach Flower, but if not, find something locally. There's so much like resources online now that is great.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's kind of hard to like find one. Maybe ask a friend. Sometimes I
Mm,
feel like, if that maybe you already have a friend who's doing something, it's always good to have, it's like kind of that like word of mouth, like ask your friend, like,
yeah.
where do you do your meditation? Where do you do your yoga?
I think
Start from there.
that's a really amazing answer. And I would add in like trust your discernment. Like there
Yes.
are practitioners who may not have the best and highest good. So, you're coming from a
Right.
vulnerable space, when you're
Yes.
seeking
Yes.
spiritual practice. And I like that. Trust a buddy, trust a friend, tune in, use your intuition. If
Yes.
you don't know what intuition is, trust your gut feeling. What's your gut feeling? Like, I don't like that person. Trust it. Trust it.
Yes. Yes. I would say always, for me in my own experience, and
Yeah,
I understand what you mean with there's just so many different practitioners. We're all human beings, nobody's
100%.
perfect. So
Yeah.
I would say definitely always trust yourself over if somebody telling you not to trust yourself. That's kind of like this big thing you have to really
Ooh,
remember. If somebody tell you
yes.
don't trust yourself, it's kind of no, trust yourself first. That's an important one.
That's a
And just
really
have to
good piece
really
of advice.
resonate with you. Yeah, it
Yeah.
just have to really resonate. Like if somebody says something, you're like, I'm not so sure, and that's okay. Like it's
Yeah.
just maybe you don't resonate with that person.
100%.
Maybe
They
at
may
just
not,
this time
yeah.
period. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, there are so many different avenues that you can go down. You've been on this path a long time, and so have I. And from where I was and where I am now is not the same. And what interests
Mm,
me then and what interests me now is
yes.
vastly different. So, but just be
Yeah.
open. You just don't know, like it's all gonna meld together somehow. But I like that. And
Yes.
also if some like you said, if somebody's invalidating your feelings or something like that, or saying, with your self-worth, I like that too. I like that. Good advice.
Yeah. Thank you so much. But
Well,
definitely listen to your
oh,
podcast, get to know different people out there, right?
I love it.
Also, which is
I love
great.
it. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, Tanya, I want to thank you so, so much for coming to Spiritual Spotlight series. I
Thank
am looking
you.
forward to traveling to Thailand, hopefully sometime in the near future, maybe a couple years, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna come visit you at your beautiful spa and retreat center.
Yes.
So thank
Yes,
you
please.
so much
Yes, please.
again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel.